So the main output of the PNCIMA initiative is an integrated management plan. And so that plan, we anticipate including a common understanding of the PNCIMA region's characteristics, an ecosystem-based management approach that reflects cultural, social, economical, and ecological values, marine spatial plan, identification of various agencies' roles and responsibilities in the integrated management plan, and enduring processes that can provide input to ongoing oceans management, and most importantly, an implementation strategy. You can do a lot of work on a plan, but if you don't have a strategy to implement it, it's not going to be that effective. So we held a forum in March 2009 in Vancouver. I think we had up to 360, 380 participants. And since that forum, we've done a lot of work. Neil and others have been very, very busy doing a lot of work. So the first thing is we released all the forum proceedings and some of the videotapes and presentations. We launched the PNCIMA website, www.PNCIMA.org, where all those documents are accessible. We released a document called Issues, Challenges, Opportunities Discussion Paper, and held numerous meetings with a number of interested parties since then. We also started a socioeconomic and cultural overview assessment report, and we held a workshop this last February in Prince Rupert, where we brought together a number of the interested stakeholders to gather input and information for that particular report. And we have developed a draft engagement strategy, process overview, and context document, which you have copies of tonight, and which we'll be walking through the engagement strategy tonight. So where are we going with this? This is just going to be a bit of a rough timeline of some of the activities that we have planned for the next few years. So this year, we're actually presently working on a work plan and with a resourcing plan, including a funding strategy. We have going to be completing our stakeholder engagement strategy and the process we're doing right now. We'd like to develop terms of reference for the planning process and work on a definition of ecosystem-based management. So next year, we anticipate launching into the planning process probably later around June of this year, that by next year we're going to be developing ecological and economic objectives and indicators, and identifying strategies and management measures for achieving those objectives. And some examples are spatial management plans or best management practices. 2012, we hope to have a draft management plan that we would be presenting to Minister of Fisheries and Oceans for approval. So that's it for a bit of an overview. Putting Neil Davis's name as a contact. Neil is our PNCIMA coordinator, and he's available to answer questions about the process. And so, any questions on that at all?
Yeah, so we'll take a few questions, kind of a general nature related to what Bruce has presented, and then we'll go to the specific engagement presentation. Any general questions?
So will this be like a living document, or it's going to be just set like that?
I think the question. I anticipate if we come up with a plan, there'll be a process in there for adapting it based on implementation. So I guess in the sense of a living document, I'm hoping that we have some type of adaptive process in there where we adjust as we use it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just hoping, is it possible to get this PowerPoint presentation to bring back home with us, or to get it email?
Oh, yes. We'll be posting it on our PNCIMA website eventually, but we can certainly give you a copy of that.
Okay.
Actually,
I've got a few questions.
Okay.
One of them is that in your presentation, I think one of the goals that we have through this process is not to try to reach objectives or implement processes. The goal is to actually produce products that is good for everyone. I have a hard time when people mention that they're going to try to do something when we're really here to really to protect and move things forward in terms of all stakeholders, First Nations and veterans. So that's one point. You also mentioned the form of last year.
Yes.
Is there another form planned for this year?
So the answer to that is yes, we are planning a forum this fall in Prince Rupert. That's the proposed location at this point. We don't have any details or dates at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just had a couple of questions. The first one, so we're giving feedback on this engagement strategy, but there's two other documents.
Correct.
And so is there an opportunity for us to give feedback on those other two documents, or are those more like?
They're more intended as background reading. I mean, much of what's in there is not too much that we can necessarily change about the legislative and policy context, and the governance is sort of set in place. I do think that there's probably room for discussion about what the planning steps look like. Or if there are questions or thoughts about the implications of a 2-year timeline, I think questions like that are the kinds of things that we can talk about in the context of how we engage with people and what the planning process is.
I was thinking specifically about the funding aspect, and you had mentioned you're coming up with some kind of plan. Can you talk a little bit more about that right now? Or?
It's more I think at this point, it's the intention to develop that plan. And the other key point on that is that we've been pretty clear that one of the first things we would do in a planning process is have a discussion about what that funding and resourcing plan looks like with the engagement structures that we convene. So if one of the things that we want to do, for example, is have an advisory committee, part of the discussion at the outset of the planning process would be to talk about things like how are we going to resource all the different things that we want to do in the work plan that's set out for the initiative. So it's not necessarily that we have that plan, but rather we want to develop one, and that we want there to be opportunities for everyone to provide input and feedback on what that plan looks like.
I think with all due respect, I mean, that's a great question, Laura, and we've heard it before over and over again. But this process from, pre-Richmond, the pre-Richmond original meeting to date, has caused me a lot of concern, a lot of people concern about the process, and the fact that one of the things that ought to have been dealt with up front and straight away, early on in the game, is the level of financial support that's going to be available to those groups that can't afford to participate to the level they have to for their participation to be of any value at the end of the day. And I don't like to keep harping on it. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think DFO is remiss in not dealing with that straight up front. It's a part of the process. If we're expected to participate, we want to participate, there's got to be the resources provided to us to do that. Small local governments and local stakeholder groups do not have the financial wherewithal to participate to the extent they should. So I just reiterate that's been our position, local government's position, from the word go, and it's not changed at all.
Yeah, my name is Rupert Wilson. I'm from here. I'm a Douglas Treaty. I have rights